Reading this morning is Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 9. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast.
Do you know that Jesus never directly talked about grace? He never directly did. We see it used all throughout the New Testament, but he never directly talked about it. We know of the grace from him, and we know of the love that we have, and he talks about those a lot. In the gospel, there's only 3 places that the word grace is used. 2 of them deal with Jesus. The first and the second one, it deals with how he grew in grace and wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. Okay? The other one is that John the Baptist says that grace came through Jesus, but Jesus never really talked about it. But that doesn't mean he didn't talk about it. He never said it directly, but he gave us examples. And that's what I want to look at today, kind of a 2-week series we're starting today. Just Jesus. Today we're going to talk about just grace. Will you bow with me as we get started? Loving, gracious Father, I thank you for that grace. I thank you for your love. And Father, I pray right now that my words are pleasing to you. Father, I pray they are encouraging to my brothers and sisters here, but most of all, I please you. Guide us to grasp and understand your grace. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. We pretty much know what grace is. It's something you didn't earn, something that you don't deserve. I always remember when we lived in Davis, California, we had an apartment, and the rent was due on the first of the month. And that's when I got the best understanding of grace. And it really helped me because it was due on the first of the month, but you had till the 5th of the month to pay it. Now, I wasn't gaining any extra money between the 1st and the 5th, but I always waited until the 5th just because I didn't want to give my money any sooner than I had to. Well, a new management took over, and they got rid of that. It was due on the 1st of the month. And did I deserve to have that extra 5 days? No. It was something one management gave. Christ came and he gave us grace. In the passage that Steve read talked about that, but if you're going to back up, I want to go back a couple verses that talks even more. But because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in our transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved. Because of God's great love for us. I love that. Because of that, we're made alive. How? Through his grace, what Christ did when he died on that cross for us. I want to look at 5 situations this morning where we see not necessarily the word grace, but we see Jesus talking about, showing us the idea of grace. First one is in Matthew 14. It's feeding of the 5,000 here. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so that they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." This was a group of Marys, okay? See, they were caught without. They were caught without the food they needed. It was a group of Marys. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know Mary and Martha? See, I'm a Martha. I always thought Martha got a bad rap. But they were so caught up in Jesus, they didn't realize the time, they didn't realize whatever. But we know that it was a remote place. We said, they got away, and it just got away from them. And so what did Jesus say? "I'm sorry. You guys didn't think this through. I'm sorry, but you got to think logically here. If you're going to follow me, you're just going to be hungry. It'll be just fast for the night." No. What did he do? He provided food for them. Did they deserve it? No. They should have thought ahead. See, that's me. I'm always thinking ahead. I worry a little bit at times because of that, but we'll talk about that later. The idea of they were just so focused on Jesus. And Jesus said, "I'll take care of you." That's the first example we see it. He says, "I'll take care of you. I got it." Did they deserve it? No. But it didn't matter. He was there to take care of them. Sometimes, maybe for good reasons and maybe some not so good reasons or bad decisions we make, we put ourselves in a difficult situation. not thinking things through. God is always there. He's got you. Next one, we're familiar with this one, the prodigal son. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servant, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring a fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. The son, well, he was caught wanting. He was caught wanting more, wanting something than what he had. You know the old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence? I've got a theory on why that is, okay, and why you should not jump the fence to get there. I know where the manure is on my side of the fence. You jump the fence, you don't know where it's at. It's always going to be greener, but you don't know what you're getting into. And that was the son. He went off and he squandered everything he had. And what does it say? Father, first of all, was looking for him. I mean, how do you see? He was looking for him. And then he went running to meet him. I love that picture. The father went running with the arms open wide. Had the son done something stupid? Yeah, you could say so. Did he deserve to have his father come running open arms? Well, we would say no. Look what he did. He took his inheritance. He went out. He squandered it. Didn't matter. The father was there when he came running back. He said, "I got you." The father was there. Another aspect of this is that he realized he had strayed. See, the father didn't force him to come back. He realized what he had, and he went back, and the father was there with open arms. Next example we'll look at is in John chapter 8. Here it says, Jesus straightened up and asked her. This is a woman that was caught in adultery. "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Now go and leave your life of sin." Okay? She was caught wanton. That's kind of an older word, but it's very descriptive of who she was. Okay? The woman was caught in this. And you know, we spend a lot of time saying, well, where are the guys? Where's the guy? How come they didn't drag him forward? We spend time like that. We look at the idea of, well, this was a setup. Yeah, it was. Were they watching? This was a setup completely. But it did not change the fact of who she was. Don't put any more blame on her than anyone else. It was who she was. She was caught wanting. She was caught in a lifestyle that wasn't what God called us to be. And because of that, she could have been stoned. Every right from the Old Testament scriptures, they could stone her. She was just an innocent pawn. Well, maybe a pawn, but not so innocent. Think about the plan they had set up. They had to get a willing participant. It wasn't someone's daughter. They wouldn't have put him in that situation, or a friend. So this woman was willing to do it for whatever reason. What does Jesus say? He says, "Where'd they go?" "I don't condemn you either. Now leave your life of sin." He didn't leave her where she was at. He said, "Go forward, change your life. But I'm not condemning you." Isn't that what we need to hear at times? We mess up. It's okay. Go forward. Change your life. I am not condemning you. Next one's one we're familiar with. Oops, I got the picture behind. There we go. Matthew 14, walking on the water. "Come," he said, that's Jesus. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You have little faith," he said. "Why did you doubt?" What was happening here? He got caught watching. He got caught watching the world around him and worrying about everything that was happening. I mean, think about it. He's walking on water. That's not possible. You don't walk on water. I think I've mentioned before about my one golf shot. Back when I used to golf, and I was playing down when I lived in Lubbock, Texas in February. And there's a good reason to play golf in the winter. I hit this shot, and it was headed right for the water. And I'm going, extra stroke, loss of a golf ball. But it skimmed off the water up to the green. It was a great shot. And I was sitting there thinking, my meteorology, my engineering background was like, okay, what was the spin on this so it would glance off that? So what was all? And I got up there, and guess what? The water was frozen. Play golf in the winter, it saves a stroke here and there. But the idea, you don't walk on water. And yet Peter here, Peter's a fisherman. He knows that. He jumps out of the boat, and he walks towards Jesus. And all of a sudden, he notices the wind. And it's crashing the waves up on him. And he's noticing all this, and he's going, oh no, he's watching them. And he takes his eyes off Jesus. He starts worrying. What did Jesus do? It says he immediately reached out his hand. I love that. He'd say, think about it, Peter. Look at me. Don't look at the waves. No. He reached out and grabbed him. See, sometimes we're going through life on that spiritual high like Peter. Tell me to come, Lord, and I'll come. Come. I'm stepping out of the boat. Woo-hoo. I'm walking on water to Jesus. I'm walking on water. And all of a sudden, the world takes us off that spiritual high. And we struggle. Jesus is there. He says, I got you. I'm not letting you go. I don't know what it was like, but he started watching around him rather than watching Jesus. We all do that at times. We need to keep our focus there. It helps us not worry. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a Martha. I plan, I take care of things, I make sure everything's just right. And I worry at times because, well, what if this does? We need to not worry. Problem is, Jesus says, I got you. Yeah, but I want to be got this way. I don't necessarily want how you're going to take care of me. I want this and this. He doesn't say that. He just says, I got you. Last example, back in Matthew, with the sheep. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish. Sheep was caught wandering. It wandered off. All right? Why did it wander? I don't know. Sheep aren't known to be the smartest. As I've mentioned before, we're called sheep. It's like, oh, sheep, aren't they cute? Sheep are stupid. But that's us at times. We wander off. We take our eyes off Jesus. We get caught wanting things that we shouldn't. Well, the sheep, it wandered off. And what did it say? The shepherd went and found it. Our Heavenly Father is looking for us all the time. Okay? Till we're back in our Savior's arms. You notice I keep using the phrase, I got you. It's a phrase that has been around for a long time, but I've heard it more recently, okay? I got you. I learned this from my daughter and son-in-law. Vivian, did you hear her crying earlier? Yeah, grace for Papa. It was Papa induced. I got called out for a second, and I didn't realize she was tailing me. And so I opened the door and let it shut, and it stopped on her face. But her mom and dad, and I love this phrase, they don't say, oh, it's okay, because sometimes it's not okay. They grab her, and they say, I got you. See, God says, I got you. It may not be okay right now, but he said, I got you. And that's so important for us as we go forward, because we need to know that God's got us. The funny thing about that, too, is when Viv gets hurt or needs it, she doesn't say, come get me. She says, I got you. Meaning, you get me. But in her understanding, there's trouble at times in this world, and things go wrong. And we usually say, it's okay. But it's not. Before we had our first child, we had a miscarriage. And it was amazing, the loving things that were said that hurt. You're young, you'll still have more. Yeah, that's true. It was God's plan. You know, what we wanted to hear was, it hurts, doesn't it? That's what God says. I got you. It may hurt, but don't worry, I am near. Sometimes life slaps us around, and we need that love. We maybe self-inflicted. I am known for self-inflicted stupidity at times. It's hard to get much sympathy with it, but God still loves me. We chase things after this world knowingly, or sometimes just not thinking. And we end up in situations that aren't so good. And when we step out and are on fire for God, and we're just going like crazy, and then we lose our focus, like Peter. And all of a sudden, we start worrying because we're watching the wrong things. God is always there. And we need to make sure that we're always willing to run back to him like the prodigal son did. Willing, because he'll be there with open arms waiting for us. There may be consequences of a lifestyle you've chosen or some mistakes you made. There may be, that's reality. But your salvation is still with God, no matter what we do. He's always there. And that's what grace is all about. I want to finish up with one more verse that I've used before, and I use this often. I love it. You see, at just the right time, while we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person, someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. I love that. See, it doesn't depend on me. Yes, I have got to accept Christ. But my salvation doesn't depend on how good I am or how good I'm not. You know, what's our measuring stick? You know, what are you going to, let's choose Eli as our measuring stick, okay? If you're as good as Eli or better, you get to heaven. Okay, let's say you got to be better than Eli. So that puts Eli on. No, that's not our measuring stick. It's kind of like this. The idea of a riptide. Familiar with those? They're kind of neat. Again, my atmospheric and oceanic science background. When the waves come in just right and the water pulls up, it shoots back. If you ever get caught in one, hopefully you know this, you don't try to swim against it. Swim perpendicular to it. They're usually narrow. You can get out of it and you'll be fine. Or sometimes there's a sand reef that gets taken away and it blows there. Okay, let's say that you and Eli are out swimming, okay? And you get caught in a riptide. Eli drowns. And you drowned. Eli drowned about 500 feet offshore, okay? That's about here to Tim Hortons, okay? Tim Hortons is always a good thing because, you know, that's how you, where's the church right? Oh, across from Tim Hortons. Everybody knows where Tim Hortons is, okay? From where we're at, that's about 500 feet, okay? Would you rather drown 500 feet where he did, or 50 feet, which is about the distance across this auditorium, or 5,000 feet, which is about the distance down to Wendy's, near downtown. If you're going to drown, what distance would you rather drown? 50, 500, or 5,000? Doesn't matter. Yeah.
If you're closer to the shore, it's more likely that your body will be found and your family can have peace.
Yeah, but you're still dead. It is amazing when talking with people. Everyone thinks about that. Yes, well, my body could be found, or maybe there's a better chance I could get saved. No, the point is you drowned. That's the point we're in. We drowned without Christ to save us. Doesn't matter whether you've got 50 feet of sins, 500 feet of sins, or 5,000 feet of sins. We all drowned without the grace of our loving fathers given through his Son who died on that cross for us. I use this at times when talking with individuals, and it's amazing how we just hang on to life so much. They say, well, everyone 50 feet for reasons of family, for reasons, well, maybe you say, they're different. We've got to realize it's not us. It's God's grace that saves us, no matter how close you are, no matter how far away you are. It's amazing how people go to this. But the bottom line is, God says, I got you. And he is there for us. I always work to make sure that things are in context. And that's why we started with these two verses, Ephesians 8 and 9. Next week, we'll go to verse 10, because 8 and 9 are absolutely important before you look at verse 10. But I'd like to make sure we're in the context, and so we'll finish this up next week when we look at verse 10. God, he's always there saying, I got you. But sometimes you need that physical family to give you a hug. Maybe to prop you up, maybe to just pat you on the back, whatever. That's what we are. We are that physical family, spiritually connected through the blood of Christ, to be there for each other. If you need something, let the family know. Even if it's just going up to someone saying, I had a rough day, give me a hug. Can I have a hug? And the proper response is, I got you. No, you don't have to say that. But it's the idea of being there for each other. See, we sometimes get the concept that church is this. We got to come, and then we go on with the rest of our life. No, church is family. Yes, we come together in this way, but it's so much more than that. It's being there for each other. Being there because God's got us all. We're going to sing a song here, and if you do have a need that this congregation can help you with, let us know. If you have a prayer request or something, we'll have a prayer at the end. But listen to the words of the song. Hide me away. See, God has wrapped us up in the arms of Jesus. He's got us. I got you. Let's stand. Let's sing together this song.
Hide me away, O Lord.